Hey guys, Marty Schindler here, and today in Sony Vegas we're going to take a look at using text and creating text and putting it over videos and all that jazz. This is a remake of an older tutorial I did about 5 years ago, so forgive me for remaking it, but I think it's long overdue. So anyway, we have Sony Vegas. Oh, by the way, yeah. We have Sony Vegas, and I'm using version 11, and this is going to be different than other versions, so just keep that in mind. There are two different types of texts, actually, in Sony Vegas 11, and I think only 11, but I'm not sure. There's legacy text and then titles and text. Now, legacy text is the type of text that is in all versions of Vegas, so I'm going to start with that. So, basically, if you want to put text on your track, let's just start with that before we do anything else. We're going to right click and go to Insert Video Track, or Control-Shift-Q on your keyboard. You'll have a track right here. You can use your scroll wheel to go in and out. Pretty simple stuff. You can right click and go to Insert Text Media. Now what that's going to do in 11 is insert the titles and text type. Text, Sony titles and text, which looks a lot different than the past versions of Vegas if you have upgraded or just use a past version. So we're not going to start with that. What we're going to do is go to Media Generators tab right here, or you can go to View and go to Media Generators, or Alt-9 on your keyboard. If you can't see it, you might want to drag these little 9 dots around, or 6 dots, can't count, 6 dots around, and see if you can find it there. I'm going to put it at the end. And go to Legacy Text, and I'm just going to drag in default text right there to the timeline. This box should pop out. If you can't find that box, it's around. You want to look for it. You can drag it in and out of this window. I have it floating. I think it's easier if it floats that way. So yeah, you have this box. Make sure your frame size matches your properties. If you go to File Properties and your frame size right here, that's important. You might want to do that. Now let's just type in something simple and get on with the tutorial. Something simple. Sorry, I'm typing with one hand here. Okay, it's pretty simple. You can drag this up and down, by the way, if you're having trouble seeing something. On the Edit menu, you have your font type. So you can select whatever type of font you want, like so. I would say try to get a big array of fonts. It's really nice. You can definitely make the video better if you have a better font. One way to go through fonts and test them is to highlight your text, click on the type of font, click on it and use your arrow keys and scroll down, and you can go through them really quickly like this. So it's a pretty easy way to do it. For now, I'll stick with this Walt Disney font thing. You can change your size, you can bold it, italicize it, and change the alignment of it. I just have it centered right now. You can do placement on the placement tab, drag it around where it is. You can also do this on the pan and crop window also, which is what I use, preferably to this. But either way, it doesn't matter. You can also keyframe this movement if you'd want. I have another tutorial on keyframing if you don't know how to do that. Then we have the Properties menu, which you can change the text color and the background color. All the way right here is opaque. Opaque. I can't say that very well, can I? Anyway, you can have it all the way black. You don't notice the difference right now, but if I did a red background, you have red, and then you can go all the way here and reduce the opacity and make it transparent, which is what I meant to say, all the way transparent right here. But we're just going to keep it black. Now you have these 3 properties right here: tracking, scaling, and leading. Scaling is obviously how large the text is, and it controls it similarly to like a vector, whereas it won't get pixelated if you zoom in relatively, not that I can tell, which might not be the same as on the pan and crop window. So I would take advantage of scaling when you can. It's pretty cool. And what it can also do is zoom in out your text all the way until there's nothing, and panning and cropping cannot do that. You cannot crop it to make it nothing, whereas scaling can. Tracking is the distance between the letters themselves, as you can see, and leading is the distance between the lines. And kerning as defined in reference to Sony Vegas, is select this box to automatically adjust the spacing between characters. That's what it says. I can't get it to do much. But, you know, if you can, then go ahead and do that. I just stick with tracking, really, for that. Okay. You can also use this eyedrop tool to click and find colors that you want to color the text. Effects, you can make an outline of the text like this. Nothing special. You can draw a shadow and offset it with these. These are really just simple things. Deformation looks really cheesy usually, and you can deform your text, blah, 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 blah. Pretty simple stuff. Keep in mind, if you are on not Sony Vegas 11, I believe, there's something you need to do. And that is if you adjust the length of your vent on the timeline right here, see how I'm dragging it and making it like 20 seconds long, you have to realize that it still says 10 seconds up here. And that's going to create a problem for you if you're keyframing or doing anything like that. So you need to manually change the duration, or if you're in Sony Vegas 11, you can click this handy button which says match event length, and it'll do it automatically right for you. So that's just something to keep in mind if you're ever having troubles keyframing text, which is why I generally try to stay away from that, because it can get kind of messy. So that's legacy text, nothing special. In case you're wondering how to put text over a video, I'll do that really quick. Just get your video and drag it in, or go to File and Import Media, or go to the Explorer tab, which is how I do it. And you're going to want to make another video track above this right here, or make sure you have a video track above. Then you can go to right click and insert text media, and your text will be right over the video, and you can type like whatever you want to type in, doesn't matter. You can change your text color right here. This is the new one, by the way, the new text for Sony Vegas, which is Sony titles and text. It's kind of nice, I like it. It's no different from the other one except how it's organized, and a few things are named differently, and that's relatively the only difference. The same thing with your fonts right here. Nothing is different. The only difference is that you can do animations with your text, which are automatically pre-keyframed for you. So if you just select a random one and you play it back, hate this guy, it pops up. It's kind of cool. I actually like some of them. Hate this guy. They can be a little cheesy sometimes, but I mean, you know, they're a lot better than some of the transitions that Vegas employs in the program. But for now, I'm going to keep it at none. I'm going to bold this and go back to my awesome Disney font. Wherever it went. I don't see it. That's weird. I've been having some problems with installing fonts on my computer and having them work with Sony titles and text as opposed to legacy. I haven't found a fix for it yet, or I don't even know what the problem is really, but if you're having that problem, just stick with legacy text. That's what I've been doing. But it seems the plethora of my fonts work. So, you know, whatever. You can change the scaling again. No different from there. You can actually physically grab the text and move it around, which is nice, and do like this and scale it. So that's kind of a cool new feature. The location is same as the other one. Background, same. The checkered means it's transparent. You can change the tracking, and the line spacing, they don't call it leading anymore, apparently. They're calling it line spacing, so you know, you have line spacing. Here's a useful tip. If you ever have your value something like this and you want to get back to regular, like 1, you just double click on it and you're back to 0. Or 1 or 0. Sometimes it depends on what it is normally. The default, it'll take you back to. Outline, same thing as before. Shadow, same thing as before. No different. So that's all the same. I like the new color. The way to select a color is nice. You have this familiar looking thing, and you can change that from HSV to HSL and RGB, whatever you want to do really. It's cool how they give you that options though. The options, and you have these other options also. So definitely a ton of color options, which is a nice new feature for it. If you want to keyframe any of these options, and this also goes for effects, additionally, I forgot to mention that on one of my last videos. you click this little timer, and it says animate, and then you can animate features. So if you wanted to animate a text color, I would double click here, and I would go to text color, and I would change it to red, and you can actually see physically that it changes. I don't know if that's physically, but whatever. Visually is a better word. Visually changes from white to red, which is a cool feature. It's like a gradient almost. So if I play it back, you can see it'll change from white to red. Like,
where did we get him? This is probably literally what the audience is thinking and figured it.
God, pretty simple. Again, if you want to drag your text and make it bigger, make sure you click this button right here, or manually input the duration, because it can cause a lot of problems if you don't. That's my final tip. You can add video effects on to text. It's pretty simple. Just go to your video effects tab and take an effect and drag it on. And it works just like anything else would. You'll just have to play around with the effects you want to use. Say if you used an effect like film effects. If you use film effects, keep in mind it's going to go on everything and not just your text. See how it goes behind it also? So, and that's because of the text itself is still an event that occupies this amount of space. It's not just this little part right here. So that's how you do that. There are ways to make it just on the text, but that's going to be for a more advanced text tutorial that I'm planning. But it's similar to Crystal Text also, which I have a tutorial for. So that's the basic to text in Sony Vegas 11, also to other versions also. To recap really quickly, if you have different types of text on here, you have legacy and titles and text. Those are two different types of text. 11 uses titles and text by default. All the other versions use legacy. You just click and drag it out, or right click insert text media. You have an edit, placement, properties, and effects tabs, all doing their respective functions. This reminds me, a good site to get fonts on is defont.com. You can use other websites also, but this is one I use usually. And you just install the font, and then make sure you exit and restart Vegas, and you'll have your new fonts, and they should work. And if they're not, make sure you are using legacy text and not the new type if you're having that problem. Okay, guys, that was a text tutorial, and stay tuned for more. I'm Marty Schindler, and I'll see you next time.